Okay, so now that we have the connection for the action spin now and it changes the text of the score label to triggered, we know it's working, so we do not need this anymore. Just select it and remove it. So what do we want to do now? So I'm going to just write it down with comments. So it's going to appear in green if you just type 2 backslashes, and now whatever you type appears in green, which means that it's just comments. So what we want to do here is that we want to check if it's spinning. Okay, if the wheels are spinning, and if they are, then we stop, we don't do anything, and if they're not, we make the spin. Okay, also what we want to do is also maybe count the number of games, so increase the game count. So every time somebody presses the spin count, so we can do some kind of a spin count. And what we can also do is we have to change the score, so we have to decrease the score by the bet. Okay, so if somebody the score is basically the currency. If somebody press spin, so you have to remove 1. Okay, you have to remove 1 coin because you have to bet, right? And we want some kind of a timer. We want a timer that animates the spinning wheels. Okay, all right, so now that we have written this down, let's write the logic. So if is spinning, so basically if the thing is spinning is equal to true, so yes, if it is spinning, then what do? We want to stop here, right? Because we said that it's we don't want to do anything, so we return. Okay, so we're not gonna do anything after that. Now, as you can see, it's giving me a red error here. It says unresolved identifier is spinning because I'm using something that I have not created. I'm using a variable that has not been created. So let's create it. Go all the way up top, and right after the outlets, let's create the variables. So let's do this. We need to create the variable is spinning. Var is spinning. Okay. And the type is a bool for boolean, which means yes or no, and the default value is false. Okay, so by default it's not spinning. All right, now I know I'm going to be using a timer, so I'm just going to create it right here as well. Okay, so just right before var for variable timer, and the type is an ns timer. Okay, and put a exclamation point. Okay, all right, so now let's go back down. And let's go back to the spin function. So again, if it's spinning, we return. Otherwise, what do? We want to prepare for the next spin. So we want to get ready to spin. So prepare next spin. Now we do not have the logic, but we're basically creating a function or a method that's going to prepare the next spin. So it's another piece of code that we're going to launch. Also, what we want to do is increase the number of games. So we want to do like game played count, and we want to increase that, so is equal to itself game played count plus 1, so we increase it. Now we do not have the game played count, so let's create it. Okay, also, so right here I'm gonna come here and create the variable game played count. Okay, var game played count, and the type is there's going to be an integer, because integer are for whole number, because the number of game counts can only be an integer. It can be only a whole number. It cannot be I played 3.5 games, no, or 3.2 games, no. It has to be an integer. Okay, so I'm going to put int, that's the type, and the default value is 0. Okay, all right, now let's go back to the action. Actually, even before going back, we know that we need to keep the score, right? The total number of points. So we need some kind of a value that keeps the score. So I'm gonna go var total score, okay? And the type is also an integer, and the default value is 100 this time, okay? So you start with 100 points, okay? All right. And what else should we need here? Okay, we'll start with that. That will do. So let's go back to the spin now. So as you can see, it's giving me an error on the prepare the next spin because I do not have this function. So let's create a function. After this curly brace, the one that's closing for the spin now. So as you can see, this one is closing the spin now. Press enter 2 times and start to type func for function, and let's call it prepare next spin. Okay, open and close the semicolon, sorry, parentheses, and open and close the curly braces. Now this is not doing anything for now, but as you can see, so we need to do this. So I'm just going to put to do, okay, as a comment. But as you can see, the error is gone here. Now what I want to do is the gameplay count is going to be +1. Also the total score is going to be equal to total score -1. Why? Because we're playing, we're pressing the spin button, so we're betting 1. Okay, and we're gonna change the spin button text. So spin button, the text, we're gonna do the set title, and we're gonna put good luck. Okay, so instead of saying spin, it's gonna say good luck. All right, and now what we want to do is every X amount of seconds we want to change what we want to fake the wheel spinning. So it needs to be really quick, but every I don't know, like every 0.1 seconds, so every 1/10 of a second, we're gonna rotate the images. So I created a timer for that, so self.timer, okay, and that's gonna be called every 1/10 of a second ns timer dot scheduled. Select this one, scheduled timer with time interval. Okay, all right. Actually, we're going to use this one right here with the target. Okay, all right, press enter. NS time interval, we're going to say this is going to be called every 0.1 seconds, so 1/10 of a second. The target, so press tab to access the target self. So that means the function is going to be called on this file. The selector will be what we're going to call selector, and we're going to call it update. Okay, so this is the method that's going to get called, or the action that's going to get called every 1/10 of a second, the update, where we're going to change all the images. User info, we don't need any, so just put nil for nothing. Okay, repeats, yes, so true, you want it to repeat, and close the semicolon. Close the curly brace. All right, so as you can see, we have that, and it's giving me an error. And let's look at what it says. Okay, that's a non-meaningful error. Okay, so what we want to do is double check that we have everything right. Okay, I see what's going on here. You see the selector? I forgot to close the parentheses. Okay, there we go. Now the error is going to go away. All right, so that's it, and that's pretty much what we want to do now. What we want, the next thing is to actually create the update action. So let's go below the function prepare next spin and do function update. Okay, and then we're gonna have to do this. Okay, so that's basically the whole cycle of the spin. So whenever we click on spin, this is gonna prepare for the next spin, and this is gonna update the images every 1/10 of a second. Okay, all right, see you guys in the next lecture.